"My father framed you," Catherine Doyle said. But this time someone framed him. Aaron Blake did not answer. It was 11:47 on a Thursday night, and Catherine stood beneath the pale fluorescent lights of the Federal Records basement, with rain darkening the shoulders of her gray wool coat. 5 years had passed since her laughter on the courthouse steps followed him through every job rejection, every apartment application, and every room where someone recognized his face before remembering his name. Aaron closed the archive drawer and removed his reading glasses. Once, he had entered this building through the marble lobby as a federal prosecutor assigned to housing fraud cases. Now he used the service entrance and spent his nights cataloging cases argued by attorneys who had once requested his advice. "You have 48 hours, Catherine said. "The Judicial Committee meets Saturday night. If we cannot challenge the evidence before then, my father will be removed from the bench." Aaron looked at the sealed evidence packet in her hand but did not reach for it. Judge Richard Doyle had spent 4 decades cultivating the image of a man who placed the law above family. That reputation had allowed him to remain silent, while his former son-in-law lost his license, his home, and his marriage over a court record Aaron insisted he had never altered. "What is he accused of?" Aaron asked. "Accepting $200,000 from a developer in exchange for dismissing an eviction appeal." Her answer was controlled, but he noticed a small tremor in her right hand. "The payment records appear genuine, so does the dismissal order, but my father was presiding over another hearing when the order entered the system. Then hire a digital forensic analyst. We hired 3. Catherine placed the packet on his desk. They all authenticated his signature. Aaron looked at her for the first time. The confidence she once wore so naturally had disappeared. "Why come to me?" "Because you helped design the emergency verification procedure before they took your credentials. Your father helped them take those credentials." "I know what I believed 5 years ago. That was not my question." For several seconds, only the rain tapping against the narrow basement windows disturbed the silence. "If you refuse," Catherine finally said, "an innocent man could lose everything because of evidence someone manufactured. You know what that feels like." The words struck with more precision than an apology. Aaron could have sent her away. A wounded part of him wanted to watch Richard stand before the same kind of committee that had refused to believe him. But justice based on a lie would not become justice simply because Richard deserved punishment for something else. Aaron broke the seal. Inside was a certified copy of the dismissal order, a bank transfer summary, and a printed authentication report. He read the first page, then the second. On the third, his hand stopped. Near the bottom was a 12-character verification code. No modern analyst would notice anything unusual about it. Aaron noticed because he had helped create that sequence for a discontinued disaster recovery system. The court had certified that every related key was destroyed 5 years earlier. On the same night, the sealed housing record vanished under his account. Catherine saw the color leave his face. "What did you find?" Aaron turned the page toward her and placed one finger beneath the code. "Your father may be innocent," he said. "But whoever framed him learned how to do it from the person who framed me. Your father changed the incident record," Aaron had told Catherine 5 years earlier, standing beneath the courthouse clock while reporters waited for him to deny everything. Catherine remembered every word now because she had spent years pretending not to. The final disciplinary hearing followed months of investigation. The committee needed only 43 minutes of deliberation to end the career of Aaron Blake. A protected court document had disappeared from the public filing system under credentials assigned to him, and an audit showed that his security token had authorized the emergency removal at 11:18 that night. Aaron insisted he had been home. The system recorded no external intrusion. His account appeared to open the record, remove its public copy, and approve a false incident report. The committee called the evidence conclusive. By noon, his government identification card had been disabled. By 2, his photograph appeared beside the words "disgraced federal prosecutor." Catherine waited on the courthouse steps with Judge Richard Doyle standing several feet behind her. He had advised Catherine not to speak with Aaron without another attorney present. When he emerged, he carried a cardboard box containing 3 law books, an empty picture frame, and the brass nameplate that had once rested outside his office. Reporters surrounded him with questions about the missing record and possible payment from the developer under federal investigation. Aaron answered none of them. He walked directly to Catherine. "I did not remove that document," he said. "Then tell me who did." Your father authorized the change and allowed the incident report to carry my credentials. Catherine waited for evidence, a witness, or anything more substantial than an accusation against the man who had raised her. Aaron glanced toward Richard. The judge did not move. He protected something, Aaron continued, and he used my account to hide it for weeks. Aaron had refused to explain why he would not introduce the sealed housing record as part of his defense. He had rejected every strategy his attorney suggested. Now, after losing everything, he accused her father without presenting proof. My father spent 40 years protecting the law, Catherine said. You destroyed yourself in one night. Aaron quietly answered, that is what he needs you to believe. Fear hardened into anger. Believing Aaron would require Catherine to question every lesson her father had taught her. She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. The sound lasted less than 2 seconds, but every camera captured it. Aaron did not react. That made the moment worse. He removed his wedding ring and placed it in her open palm. One day you will learn what he protected, he said. When you do not call me innocent until you understand my silence. Then he walked away. By evening, the video had spread across local news and social media. Viewers praised Catherine for standing beside her father and mocked Aaron for blaming a respected judge. Friends stopped returning calls. Catherine filed for divorce before the month ended, telling herself she was separating from a dishonest man. She never asked why Aaron had not used the sealed record that might support his accusation. She never asked why he had dismissed an attorney known for winning difficult disciplinary cases. Most of all, she never asked what he meant by his silence. Now, 5 years later, the discontinued verification code rested beneath his finger in the courthouse basement. Catherine finally understood that Aaron had not walked away because he knew nothing. He had walked away because he knew something he believed was more dangerous than losing her. Your father did not take the bribe, Aaron said. But proving it may destroy the last 5 years of his reputation, Catherine remained beside the archive table while the courthouse clock passed midnight. Emergency authorization allowed Aaron to examine only the records connected with the current accusation. He could compare timestamps, certificates, schedules, and public banking documents, but he could not reopen his disciplinary file. Whoever manufactured the case appeared to understand that boundary. The bank statement showed $200,000 leaving an account controlled by a developer and entering an account registered under the name Richard Doyle. 3 days later, an eviction appeal involving the same developer had been dismissed. Aaron studied the registration record and transaction history. The receiving account used copied identification and an address belonging to a vacant office suite. No money had ever been withdrawn. After arriving, the payment remained untouched. A bribe is useful only if the receiver can use it, Aaron said. Whoever created this account wanted investigators to find the money, not spend it. Catherine leaned closer. That makes the account suspicious. It does not prove my father did not create it. Aaron opened the certified court schedule. The dismissal order entered the federal system at 10:14 on a Tuesday morning. At that exact minute, Richard was presiding over an unrelated appellate hearing in courtroom 4. The official recording showed him questioning an attorney without interruption from 10:11 until 10:19. His security card never left the courtroom. He could have scheduled the order earlier, Catherine said. Not through the recovery portal used here. That system required a physical authentication key whenever a document was submitted. Aaron placed the report beside the attendance record. The current key assigned to Richard was in courtroom 4. The order was uploaded with an older emergency key that should no longer exist. Catherine looked at the 12-character code again. The same recovery system used against you. Not merely the same system. Aaron found the discontinued process in a procedural manual. One line identified Judicial Records Administration as the office responsible for emergency recovery keys. Monica Hale had directed that office for more than 20 years and had testified against Aaron. She told the committee that an incident record could not be transferred between users, making his defense appear impossible. Monica signed the certificate stating that every recovery key was destroyed, Catherine said. Then she lied 5 years ago, or someone preserved a key without her knowledge. Aaron searched the evidence packet for the original electronic certificate. Investigators had received only a printed summary authenticated by the office of Monica. The false account was accessed once after the payment arrived. That access originated from an unused records room on the 7th floor. 5 years earlier, the missing housing document also passed through that room. Catherine watched two accusations become parts of one design. "We can prove my father did not create this payment or upload this order," she said. Aaron closed the folder. "We can. But the method used to frame him exists because someone tested it on me first. What do we do next?" Aaron looked toward the ceiling, 7 floors beneath the office where Monica guarded the secrets of the courthouse. "To prove your father did not commit this crime," he said, "we may have to prove exactly how he committed mine." "Those were my witnesses," Catherine whispered, when the recovered page appeared on the secure screen. "Your father destroyed you to protect my case." Dawn was turning the courthouse windows gray when an emergency order allowed Catherine and Aaron to review the sealed archive under supervision. The file came from a housing lawsuit Catherine handled 6 years earlier. 84 families accused a developer of using false maintenance reports to force them from rent-controlled apartments. Many agreed to testify only if their identities remained protected. Catherine prepared a public brief that identified witnesses by number and a sealed appendix containing their names, addresses, and statements. On the final night for filing, she accidentally attached the unredacted appendix to the public submission. It remained visible for 9 minutes before an automated warning identified the restricted information. Catherine recognized her electronic signature on the upload certificate. "I never knew this version entered the public docket," she said. "I checked the case the next morning. Only the protected version remained." Aaron advanced to the access history. At 11:06 that night, Richard used the emergency administrative authority of the chief judge to request removal of the exposed appendix. He had no role in deciding the housing lawsuit, but he controlled emergency court operations after normal hours. At 11:12, Monica activated the recovery portal. At 11:18, the public copy disappeared. Removing it was lawful. The incident report created afterward was not. Monica assigned the action to the security token belonging to Aaron and certified that he removed the document without authorization. Aaron had access to related records because he was prosecuting a housing fraud investigation involving the same developer. His credentials offered a believable explanation that did not immediately reveal the relationship between Catherine, Richard, and the corrected docket. Catherine stared at Aaron. "He chose you because you were my husband, and your investigation gave him a credible place to hide the record. He chose an account investigators would believe," Aaron replied. "And then he stood beside me while I accused you." Aaron opened the disciplinary correspondence. The families received an injunction after the appendix disappeared. If the accidental disclosure entered a separate proceeding, the developer could demand new discovery, challenge witness confidentiality, and delay that protection. Several witnesses might withdraw before trial. Catherine later built her career on the settlement. Richard protected the families, her license, and his reputation by placing every visible consequence on Aaron. "I made the mistake," Catherine said. "He made you carry it." The final folder contained an offer from the disciplinary committee. It would consider the housing evidence under restricted review, but the developer would receive formal notice that the appendix had entered another proceeding. The attorney for Aaron warned that the notice could threaten the injunction. Beneath the offer was the signed response from Aaron. He declined. Catherine looked from the signature to the man across from her. Richard framed him, but Aaron had been given a path that might save his license. He chose not to take it. "You could have fought this," she said. "You could have forced my father to answer." Aaron removed his glasses and folded them beside the keyboard. "Why did you let me believe you were guilty?" Aaron looked at the 84 protected witness numbers filling the screen. For the first time that morning, he did not have an answer prepared. "I did not stay silent because I was weak," Aaron said. "I stayed silent because 84 families had more to lose than I did." Catherine remained seated across from him as morning light spread through the narrow window above the records room. Aaron explained that his disciplinary attorney had warned him what formal use of the housing appendix could mean. Even under restricted review, the developer would receive notice that witness confidentiality had been compromised. Its attorneys could request new discovery, challenge statements connected to the exposed appendix, and delay the injunction. 84 families might lose legal protection before the court resolved who altered the incident report. "You decided your license was worth less than their homes," Catherine said. "I decided I could survive losing it." "And our marriage?" Aaron looked at the letter bearing his signature. "At the time, I believed the truth would come out after the housing case ended. Your father promised Monica he would correct the record. You trusted him?" "No." But I trusted the case to reach a point where exposing him would no longer harm your clients. 3 years later, the families received a settlement. The divorce was final, and Richard held a more powerful judicial position. The evidence that could clear Aaron remained sealed. Catherine pressed her fingers against the edge of the table. You could have told me privately. The silence from Aaron answered before he did. I considered it, but you chose not to. The night before the committee hearing, I called you 7 times. You did not answer. My father told me not to speak with you, and you obeyed him. She remembered watching the name of Aaron disappear from their apartment lease, their insurance documents, and eventually the divorce decree. She interpreted his refusal to defend himself as proof of guilt. Now she understood that his silence protected the families whose case built her reputation. You had no right to decide what I could handle, she said. You allowed me to live inside a lie. You are right. His agreement unsettled her more than an argument would have. I should have found another way. I should have trusted you with the choice. Then why did you not? Aaron looked directly at her. Because I no longer believed you would choose the families over your father. Catherine said he never gave her the opportunity. Aaron reminded her that he accused Richard on the courthouse steps and asked her to question the evidence. She laughed before requesting proof. Her refusal was a choice, even if she had not understood its cost. So part of your silence was punishment, she said. Aaron did not deny it. Protecting the witnesses had been honorable. Refusing to trust his wife had not been. He told himself that carrying the blame alone was sacrifice, but some part of him wanted Catherine to experience the consequences of choosing her father. He protected her career, while allowing their marriage to end without one final honest conversation. Before either could speak again, the secure terminal emitted a notification. A message arrived through the internal courthouse network. It contained only a location and a time. 7th floor records room, 8 in the morning. Beneath it was a single sentence. I know why Richard chose Aaron, and I know who used the old key again. Aaron checked the routing information. The message originated from the office of Monica Hale. Richard promised me he would confess after the families were safe, Monica Hale said. 5 years later he was still wearing the robe, and Aaron was still carrying his crime. She waited inside the 7th floor records room with 3 archive boxes across the table. Catherine entered beside Aaron. Aaron placed the printed verification code before Monica. You preserved the recovery key. Monica opened the first box and removed the destruction certificate. Richard authorized the keys to be eliminated, and Monica certified the task was complete. Beneath the certificate rested one surviving key. Your father ordered me to remove the exposed appendix, Monica said. He said the witnesses could not remain visible for another minute. Catherine asked why Monica later falsified the incident report. We had a lawful emergency removal, Monica replied. We did not have a lawful reason to conceal who ordered it or assign the action to Aaron. Richard said the public would never accept that the chief judge used administrative authority to protect a case handled by his daughter. He promised to correct the report after the injunction became permanent, but later came, and you did nothing, Catherine said. Richard always found another reason to wait. His nomination arrived before the case ended. A confession could expose your mistake, reopen the litigation, and destroy his appointment. The temporary cover became official history. So you created the bribery case, Aaron said. Monica opened the second box. It contained the false account materials and fabricated dismissal certificate. She admitted constructing evidence investigators were certain to discover and using the surviving recovery key to connect it to Richard. She did not alter the real eviction appeal or take any money. I wanted Richard to face evidence he could not disprove, she said. I wanted him to understand what he allowed them to do to you. You were willing to destroy him with a lie, to punish him for destroying Aaron with another lie, Catherine said. Your father was never innocent. Not of the old misconduct, Aaron replied. But he is innocent of this accusation. Monica turned toward him. You owe him nothing. The truth does not change according to what I owe. Monica slid the third box across the table. It contained the complete access history, the private instructions from Richard, and a statement admitting that the credentials of Aaron had been used without his knowledge. The evidence could reopen his disciplinary case. Stay silent until Saturday night, Monica said. Let the committee remove Richard. When it is over, this box goes to the licensing board. 5 years earlier, Richard forced Aaron to choose between his name and 84 families. Now, Monica offered his name back if he allowed a false accusation to destroy Richard. Aaron closed the box. If your lie removes him, his real misconduct will be buried beneath it. He will become a victim, instead of answering for what he actually did. Monica warned that honesty would expose the mistake by Catherine and the concealment by Aaron. Her license could be suspended, and his might never be restored. Before Aaron responded, the phone of Catherine vibrated. A message from Richard appeared on the screen. Do not expose the old case. I will accept the bribery charge. Let me protect you one last time. Let me plead guilty, Richard Doyle said. It is the last thing I can still do for you. Catherine found her father alone in his chambers an hour after the confession from Monica. Richard had removed the family photographs from his desk. Only the brass clock remained, measuring the hours until the committee hearing. Aaron waited outside while Catherine entered carrying the third archive box. Richard looked at it and understood. She kept the records, he said. She kept what you ordered her to destroy. I ordered her to protect 84 witnesses. And then you placed the false incident report under the name of Aaron. Richard lowered his eyes. He explained that the exposed appendix created an emergency. If the developer obtained the names, families could lose their homes, and witnesses might withdraw. Monica could remove the public copy, but the system required an incident report. The credentials belonging to Aaron offered a believable explanation that would not immediately connect the correction to Catherine or to the chief judge who authorized it. I thought I could correct it later, Richard said, after the injunction became permanent and the witnesses were safe. But later came, and you did nothing. By then, Aaron had accepted the disciplinary finding. You make that sound like permission. Richard rose but seemed smaller without the authority of the bench. Reopening the old matter would expose the mistake by Catherine and place the concealment by Aaron under review. If Richard accepted the false bribery charge, the committee would remove him quickly. The old records could remain sealed. Catherine could preserve her license, and Aaron might receive the evidence privately. You are asking me to let an innocent man accept a false accusation, Catherine said. I am asking you to let your father finish protecting you. The sentence changed something inside her. For years, Catherine interpreted the protection of Richard as love. He reviewed her applications, guided her cases, and warned her which people could not be trusted. Now she understood the cost. His protection required everyone else to surrender their choices. Aaron lost his career. Monica carried the secret. 84 families became the justification for a lie. Catherine had been protected so completely that she had never been required to become accountable. This is not protection anymore, she said. It is control with a kinder name. Richard asked whether she was prepared to lose everything she built. Catherine placed a signed document on his desk. Before coming upstairs, she wrote a formal self-report to the state licensing board. It described the accidental disclosure, her failure to investigate the warning from Aaron, and the benefit she received from the misconduct of her father. Richard read the first page. For the first time, he could no longer decide what his daughter was willing to sacrifice. Catherine left the chambers and found Aaron beneath the marble archway. She handed him a copy of the report. 5 years ago, you paid for my mistake without my permission, she said. This time, I will pay for it with my name. Aaron asked whether Richard agreed to tell the truth. No. He still believes a confession to the wrong crime can protect us from the right one. The committee hearing would begin the following evening. Aaron had enough evidence to clear Richard of bribery and expose the old cover. He had not promised to use it. Catherine did not ask him to save her father, her license, or their past. When the hearing room doors opened the next night, she entered without knowing whether Aaron would follow. Judge Doyle did not take that money, Aaron said, and the hearing room fell silent before he added, but that does not make him an innocent man. Catherine turned toward the rear doors. Aaron stood beneath the marble archway, carrying the third archive box from Monica. Richard sat before the committee with a statement, accepting responsibility for the bribery accusation. Aaron requested permission to submit newly recovered records. The committee chair reminded him that his license remained suspended. Aaron answered that he appeared as a fact witness and former architect of the emergency verification procedure. The chair allowed him to continue under oath. Aaron began with the false account. He showed that copied identification had been used and that the money was never accessed. He matched the dismissal order to the discontinued recovery key preserved by Monica. Then he presented the courtroom recording, proving Richard was questioning counsel when someone submitted the order under his name. The committee recessed while an independent analyst examined the certificates. When the hearing resumed, Counsel confirmed that the recovery key created the disputed order and that the bribery evidence was unreliable. Aaron did not sit down. "There is another record the committee must examine," he said. Richard closed his eyes. Aaron submitted the access history from 5 years earlier, the destruction certificate, the instructions from Richard, and the false incident report that transferred responsibility to Aaron. The committee chair questioned their relevance. "They establish how the false evidence against Judge Doyle was created," Aaron replied. "They also establish where that method was first used." Monica testified through a secure connection. She admitted falsifying the old incident record under pressure from Richard and using the preserved key to construct the new accusation. She wanted Richard to experience the helplessness Aaron endured. The chair asked why Aaron chose to prove Richard innocent when silence could avenge him. "If I let him fall for something he did not do, his actual misconduct becomes an excuse for another lie. Justice cannot depend on whether I like the person receiving it." Richard admitted ordering the old concealment to protect the witnesses, Catherine, and his reputation. He acknowledged allowing Aaron to carry the blame after the housing case ended. Richard removed his judicial robe, folded it across the table, and announced that he would resign regardless of the final decision. No one applauded. The committee recommended withdrawal of the bribery allegation after final confirmation. The old misconduct and fabricated evidence were referred for independent review. The self-report from Catherine went to the licensing board. The disciplinary case of Aaron was reopened, although his concealment would also be examined. He cleared his name without pretending his silence was blameless. Outside the hearing room, cameras waited behind a security line. Catherine approached Aaron. "You could have let him fall," she said. "Then he would have been punished for your lie instead of his own. It began with my mistake. It continued because several people decided the truth was too expensive." Catherine watched her father walk through the corridor without his robe. "You told the truth even when it protected the man who framed you." Aaron closed the archive box. "That does not mean I have forgotten who stood beside him." Catherine accepted the words without defending herself. 5 years earlier, she laughed while Aaron faced the courthouse alone. Now the same doors waited ahead, and she did not know whether he would walk through them beside her or leave her to face the cameras without him. "Send me the complete file," Aaron said. "Not the summary, not the pages you believe matter, and nothing removed to protect me. Every page." 8 months had passed since the judicial hearing. Catherine sat across from him in a small legal aid office above a neighborhood pharmacy. Her 6-month suspension ended 2 weeks earlier, but she chose not to return to her former firm. She represented tenants who could not afford private counsel, working from a desk with one broken drawer and no brass nameplate. Aaron received a conditional reinstatement after the licensing board cleared him of removing the protected housing document. The board still found that he knowingly concealed evidence, so every matter he accepted required review by a supervising attorney. It was not complete restoration. Aaron considered that fair. Richard resigned from the bench. The independent review concluded that he never accepted the alleged bribe, but his role in framing Aaron became public record. Monica lost her position and received professional sanctions. The 84 families remained protected because their identities were reviewed privately. The mistake by Catherine was also recorded, no longer buried beneath the reputation of her father or the silence of Aaron. On the desk between the former spouses lay a new case involving 74-year-old Helen Parker, whose landlord claimed she failed to respond to notices before her apartment was scheduled for conversion. Catherine believed the notices had been mailed to an address where Helen had not lived in 12 years. Aaron opened the first folder, but chose the seat opposite Catherine, leaving the width of the desk between them. She understood the boundary. "The mailing records are in the second folder," she said. "And the complete tenant history? Third folder. Any documents that weaken her claim." Catherine handed him a thin envelope. "Those too." Aaron examined the pages slowly. 5 years earlier, both treated incomplete knowledge as protection. Richard hid evidence to protect his daughter. Aaron concealed truth to protect witnesses. Catherine refused to investigate because certainty felt safer than doubt. Now neither touched a document without asking what might be missing. After an hour, Aaron discovered that Helen signed one notice, but the date showed it arrived after the response deadline. It did not guarantee victory, but it gave her a credible defense. Catherine added the detail to her notes without exaggerating its importance. When they finished, Evening settled beyond the windows. "Do you still believe I would choose my father over the truth?" she asked. Aaron closed the final folder. "No." Relief crossed her face, but he continued. "Trust is not what you chose once. It is what you keep choosing when nobody is watching." Catherine accepted the answer. She did not ask whether he had forgiven her or whether their marriage could be repaired. She asked if he would attend the meeting with Helen the following Thursday. "Send me the schedule," Aaron said. "I will confirm," after reviewing the remaining records. At the door, he looked back at the folders arranged in careful order. Catherine had not hidden the damaging page, and Aaron had not hidden what his trust required. They completed their first case review without someone else deciding which truth they could endure. 5 years earlier, Catherine laughed while Aaron lost everything. Now she remained quiet as he left, because this time, silence was not hiding the truth. It was finally making room for it.